Hello, welcome to Captain Dorja's Armory. This is Captain Dorja. We are in an IS-6 and we are on Lakeville, and as you can see by looking at the minimap, this is an encounter battle. So, in this video today is, as you probably saw, is called Beast Mode. The IS-6 is a really good tank, and it's a typical of the IS class tanks. It's a really good aggressor tank. It's really good for going quote-unquote beast mode, where you just sort of don't really care about taking the hits. You're just going to destroy everything. And the IS-6 is really good at that. Its armor is not very thick. It's only 100 millimeters thick, which is pretty thin for a tier 8 heavy tank. But look at the sloping of the frontal armor, and look at the sloping of the side armor. And even look at the sloping of the rear armor. Plus, you have a lot of spaced armor and skirting on the tracks and stuff. So this tank is really durable. The turret armor is actually the weak spot, which is unusual for most tanks. Most tanks in this game, the turret armor, you're like an idiot if you shoot the turret. But the IS-6, the turret's actually kind of weak. The other thing about the IS-6 that's kind of weak is it's got a weak gun. It only has 175 millimeters of penetration. Basically, it's the same gun that you use on the IS, which is a tier 7 heavy. So when you have to fight tier 8 heavies to the front, like if you get into frontal combat with an IS-3 or a Tiger II, or even another IS-6, you can have a really hard time penetrating their armor. If you get into frontal combat with a tier 9 heavy, forget about it. You can't pen them at all, unless it's a French heavy, and then you're probably okay. But if that happens, they'll just dump a 4-shot autoloader into you and you'll die. So, as you can see from our deployment right here, our deployment is pretty goram terrible. Encounter Lakeville is one of the only encounters where you just want to load people onto the cap. And as you can see, we have 4 people sitting on their hands in the spawn point. 3 people basically doing nothing on the middle. 4 people coming into the crucial area, which is the city. That's where I am. And we have a scout tank and a tank destroyer in the valley. Honestly, we could use another person in the valley. Let's see, what do we have over there? Like if our Panther M10 or our KV-1S or something went Valley, and then pretty much everything else except the Jagdpanzer and the Hellcat came City, that would be good. So, here we are going beast mode. I've already put a good whack onto that, I think that T-29 down there. I think that's a dead T-29. And you can see that just a minute ago, I just drove straight around the side of that building. I knew there were like 6 dudes there, but didn't really care. I probably would have bounced a shot from any of those guys, and I really wanted to hit that T-71, but I missed. The T-71 got away. So now we've got plenty of targets up ahead. We got a Lerva, but the Lerva gets away. I'm taking shots in the butt from an ELC who was on the middle. You can see his last known position on the minimap. Luckily for me, an ELC doesn't really have the penetration, especially at range, to be a threat to me, not even from behind. So there's the T-71 taken care of. He made a hero run and paid the price. You can see that ELC hitting me again. And it's at this point where I realize that I can actually shoot that guy. And even though he's not really a threat to me, about the most dangerous thing he can do is blow my track off. So I decided to fire a shot at him, but with this gun at 430 meter range, not likely. So, I mean, I didn't even hit. So there we go, we one-shot the T-50, get that little annoyance out of the way. Angle against the IS-2, and he puts a big hit through my lower plate for 400 damage. So you can see the enemy in front of us has an IS-2, an IS-6, and a Lerva ready to push around. And to fight them, we have a Tiger II and me. And we also have a Panther M10 coming in from the side. So we just did a lot of damage to that IS-6, Panther M10 shooting him. I angle my armor against the IS-2, and I managed to take the hit on the tracks. See, the IS-6 is down to 80 hit points. I'd like to get him out of the match right here, but I know the Lerva's in a position to cover me and prevent me from getting an easy shot on the IS-6. So I have to shoot the Lerva instead. The Lerva puts a big hit into me, but I penetrate his lower plate and set him on fire. And then I'm able to poke my gun around the side of the church and put a side shot into the larva and kill him. So again, angled against the IS-2 and backing up to give him an even worse target profile, I managed to take the shell on my tracks and no damage. Friendly Panther M10 knocks out the IS-6. And I take another big hit from that IS-2. It looks like he shot right through my sort of side plate on my tank. Right there, I'm going for the T-34-85 instead of the IS-2 for a couple of reasons. The IS-2 is the main threat, but the 34-85 is just a harasser. All he can possibly do is cause me problems. He can detrack me in a bad spot. He can, get a lucky shot in and do 100 damage, and then the IS-2 could kill me in one shot. So I just get his gun off the field immediately. He's easy to remove from battle, so I remove him. I then put a shot through the commander's hatch of the IS-2 and move in close, and I actually fired through his commander's hatch a second time. So I managed to put 2 shots through the commander's hatch of the enemy IS-2. We've taken him out of the battle, and the enemy team is down to just the KV-4 in the middle, which is basically a complete waste of his tank. A T-34 in the valley, which again is basically a complete waste of his tank, and the M18 Hellcat, who was last spotted in the valley. So again, also basically a complete waste of his tank. At this point, the enemy team has absolutely no chance of winning. We can either just cap the base out, or we could go hunt those guys down and kill them. And it looks like our team is opting for the capture, so I'm going to sit in the capture circle with them and just whore up as many cap points as I can. So that was a pretty good beast mode match for the IS-6. We just I don't know, kind of like a Viking berserker or something. I just sort of waded into the battle and just started hitting people with my sword. I'll take a look at some post-battle results here. You can see post-battle results. This was my first victory of the day, so it was 2 times experience. Managed to pull down 4,196 experience. Managed to pull in a steel wall medal. And 162,895 credits. That is a lot of credits, but there's a special event right now on the North American server where if you wow, words fail me. There's a special event on the NA server where the top 3 damage dealers on both teams get 30% extra credits. And as you can see, I was top damage dealer on our team, so the 30% extra credits were applied to me as well, on top of the formidable earning potential of the IS-6. So that's why I was able to make so much money. That's with 30% bonus credits on top of already being a tier 8 premium that had a good match. So yeah, you can see I had most damage in the match by only about 100, or only about 50 actually, but quite a bit more than any of the enemy team members. Really, the only people that did any damage were the Larva, the IS-2, and the KV-4. And the KV-4 was in a foolish position where he wasn't even valuable to his team, basically. So you can see I fired 16 shots, 14 hits, 12 penetrations, 3,717 damage. That's pretty good. 12 hits, 6 penetrations, 6 bounces. And of those 6 penetrations, I'm pretty sure 3 of them were detracking shots. So basically I took 3 damaging hits in the entire match. 2 of them were from the IS-2 and were each for about 400 damage, and 1 was for 340 from the Larva. So, 3 penetrating hits was almost enough to knock out my tank. I think I only had about 600 health left. But you can see just how durable the IS-6 is, and even though its gun doesn't have a lot of penetration, when you fight a lot of tier 7s and when you fight medium tanks with it, you can just absolutely crush them with your high rate of fire, your high alpha damage, and your ability to absorb hits. So going total beast mode in the IS-6 right there, we sustained 3,860 damage, managed to pull in a profit of 138,000 credits. Just an all around really, really good match. So we're gonna take a look at another beast mode match real quick, and then there's gonna be beast mode part 2 with 2 more matches coming later. Alright, so here we are in the AC MLE 1948. This is a Tier 8 French tank destroyer. This tank destroyer is really good. It's got low health, and it's got some big weak points on its top, and it's got no side armor or rear armor. But luckily for you, your front armor on the AC-48 is very strong. It's 120 millimeters thick, I think. No, it's 150 millimeters thick. 150 millimeter thick and very well sloped. Unfortunately, this, and this are all weak points, so you can be penetrated frontally fairly easily by people with high accuracy, and the closer you get to the enemy, the easier it gets for them to hit your weak points. So I'm finding out the hard way that I have to play this tank destroyer and not get quite so close to people. The other really good feature that this tank has is it's got an amazing gun. I can't remember what it's called, but basically it's a 120 millimeter gun. It's the same gun that you use on the AMX 50 Foch at Tier 9, which is the Tier 9 French tank destroyer, and it is the same gun except in tank destroyer form that the AMX 50 120 uses. So it's a really good gun. This is not an autoloader tank destroyer, by the way. The only autoloader tank destroyer is the Tier 10 French tank destroyer, the AMX 50 Foch 155. The Tier 9 version of the 50 Foch does not have an autoloader. Okay, so right now we're just playing the normal Erlenberg game. We know how Erlenberg works at this point. Inevitably, a bunch of your team stupidly runs across the bridge. Luckily, on this match, it was confined to just our Tech 59, and he actually played it pretty well. He knew he was alone, and so he didn't try to battle them. He just tried to stay alive and spot targets, and he is definitely spotting targets. We've already seen 5 tanks over there, I think. So I've already cut the health of a KV-1S in half, but really shooting up a Tier 6 with this thing is not a big deal. So I put a big hit into that VK3002D, and he's now down to 56 health. I've got an AMX-12T sitting next to me, sniping away at him as well. I'm not sure where that shell went. It looked like it was going straight into his turret, but it didn't. And our friendly T-34 snipes that kill. So, engaging the M26 Pershing here. I criticaled him somehow. I have no idea what I did, but I was hoping to, do 400 damage to him, but no. So I decided to finish off the last of the health of that KV-1S, just because even though that KV-1S is not particularly dangerous to me as a long-range fighter with the low penetration of his gun, he was a very low health tank that was going to be easy to kill. So I thought it was a good idea to just remove him from battle. Now I just had my gun knocked out by the enemy T-34, and our Tet 59 has declared that this bridge will fall. I repair kit my gun, and this T-34 in his hull down position is in a very good position to just ruin me, make me completely useless. You can see right there I was able to get a shot through the cheek of the T-34 turret right before our GW Panther landed a shell on that guy's face and killed him. And that was an incredibly valuable kill by our GW Panther. That T-34 was in a very good hull down location, and you can see that he was able to penetrate just straight through my front armor. Even with the thickness, the sloping, the angling, and the range, he was able to just negate it completely. And with a Pershing hitting a weak point, I'm down to only 308 health. So basically, everything on the enemy team except their KV-13 and their Pershing and their everything but the KV-13, the Pershing, and the T-69 can one-shot kill me. So right now I'm just trying to eliminate as many guns from the field as possible. So I spot an easy kill on that T-150, and I put a shot into him and take him down. So at this point I'm sitting on 2,000 damage and 2 kills. Not too bad, but nothing especially great. I know that KV-13 is relatively close by, and I know the Pershing is still lurking over near B3 somewhere. The reason why I came into these houses and moved around the way I did was because I just wanted to break up my pattern of activity so I wasn't just always hanging out on this corner. Now the Pershing, I kind of catch him napping a little bit. I managed to put a good hit onto him. You can see the gun traverse on this gun isn't very wide, So in order to track that Pershing while I aimed, I actually had to move my hull twice. But that's something you get used to very quickly, and I really think that the penetration and alpha damage that you get with the 120 millimeter makes the 120 millimeter a better weapon than the 100 millimeter. This tank destroyer with the 100 millimeter SA-47 gun is very powerful because you have very high rate of fire, very high damage per minute, very high accuracy, and decent penetration and good aiming time. So I mean, it's a good tank destroyer with either weapon, but I prefer the higher damage and higher penetration of the 120 millimeter. So that KV-13, I was gonna blow his track off and then reposition to actually put damage on him, but the KV-13 consented to back up. So I mean, I just went for the damage shot. Right there, I get incredibly lucky. T-29 manages to detrack me. Luckily for me, he does not do any HP damage, because the average damage hit from a T-29 and my tank is curtains. And the KV-13 again stupidly pulls forward, and so I kill him. So the T-29 is stealth, but I have a pretty good idea where he is. Aim my shot, fire, and get the blind shot kill. So we're up to 4 kills, 3,001 known damage. I think I just did about another 300 to that T-29, so probably looking like about 3,300 damage. The enemy team is collapsing fairly hard. They're down to just an ISC-152, a KV-5, Lerva, T-69, and an Arty. And our team's still looking strong with a couple of good medium tanks, a couple of heavies, me and Arty. We did just lose our T-32. That's not good. But right here I'm working with the T-34-2. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm allowing the T-34-2 to advance ahead of me and detect enemies while I engage them. So I fire a blind shot at the ISU. He re-stealthed right before I fired. Almost certain that shot hits, but not entirely certain that it did damage. I could have hit his gun mantlet. The armor on the ISU-152 is basically non-existent, but the gun mantlet on that tank is very strong, and it's also large. So if you accidentally hit the gun mantlet, you can bounce off that gun mantlet with tier 10s. So anyway, our T-34-2 is moving around for a different approach vector, and I'm thinking that he's going to end up proxy detecting these guys. So I'm just sitting here waiting to take a shot, and you can see that I did hit the ISU. He's down to 580 health. He was at full health before I fired. I'm looking for a shot on the ISU. I mean, the Lerva's at low health also, but I would really prefer to kill the ISU. With the BL-10 gun, he could potentially one-shot the T-34-2. He could definitely one-shot me. And I really want the T-34 alive, because he's a real asset to me. He can really help me a lot by detecting and distracting while I make kill shots. So I'm using the speed of the AC-48 to get up here and support this guy. Now, taking stock of where the Lerva is, I realize he's not actually in the castle, and I realize that the ISU is right here. So, boom. Kill the ISU. T-34-2 put one shot into him before me. Now, this Lerva is just sitting in the open, completely oblivious to me, firing away at God only knows what. So I put a shot into him. T-34-2 comes up behind him, drops him to 150 health, and kill shot the Lerva, securing the top gun. The Lerva bounced the shell off me, which is pretty lucky, and KV-5 just bounced one off me. I put a good hit onto the KV-5, but right here, presenting my front armor to him, to his very low penetration gun, very low penetration, very low accuracy gun, and at range, he manages to either hit my weak spot or he got a good roll, or he got a good penetration with a premium shell. I'm not sure which. But at any rate, the KV-5 put me down, so I'm dead. But not before I managed to top gun and almost 5,000 damage. Actually, almost exactly 5,000 damage, I think. Plus the victory for our team. So that wasn't as beast mode of a game as the IS-6. I didn't just drive recklessly into combat or anything, and I did spend quite a lot of time just basically camping a bridge. But that kind of a performance in this tank destroyer, I think, is worthy of the title Beast Mode. And you can see that the rewards for me in game were pretty substantial. Managed to secure the Top Gun as well as Mastery Badge Ace Tanker. That was my first victory of the day. So 4,230 experience for my double. Managed 86,546 credits. Again, with the special event on the NA server, I got 30% extra credits for being one of the top 3 damage dealers on my team. And just look at the toll that I took on these enemies here. I mean, just kill, 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 kill. I wish it told me what critical damage I did to these guys. Crits, 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 crits. Killed, 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 killed. Like, so much damage. If we sort by damage, you can see that I managed to pull down 4,970 damage. Our T-34 was the next closest, and he only did 2,500. And the T-34-2 that I was working with at the end was third on the team with only 1,630. So I put out double the damage of the next closest guy on my team and almost triple or more of everybody else on our team. You can see the enemy KV-5 player. He had a really good game, 3,055 damage. Good game for the enemy artillery as well. T-69 and the KV-2 had a decent game. Most of the rest of their team was basically bad. I saw that the ISU-152 wasn't fully upgraded there. He didn't have the BL-10. I think he actually had the BL-9. You can get a BL-9 on the ISU-152. Not a lot of people choose to use it because it is 2/3 of the experience cost of the BL-10, and it's only like half as good. So by the time you've ground out all the XP you need for that BL-9, most people just suffer through 20,000 more XP and get the BL-10. But that guy had the BL-9, and even with just the BL-9 only being able to put out 500 damage is pretty pathetic. So that was kind of a fail game for him. You can see here we fired 18 shots, 16 hit. Of our 16 shots, all 16 penetrated, managed to deal 5,000 damage. Took 12 hits, 5 penetrations, 7 non-penetrations. We had I think only 1 detracking shot, so 4 of those penetrating hits applied damage, and that was enough to kill us. The AC-48 really doesn't have a lot of health. Still, though, I managed to survive, 3,740 damage. If that KV-5 shell had not penetrated and killed me right at the end, I would have managed Top Gun, Steel Wall, Mastery Badge, Ace Tanker. So that would have been a nice feather in my cap, but unfortunately it was not to be. You can see that I made a profit of 55,000, and again, I already looked at experience. So yeah, I mean, that was just a really, really good match. Really fun tank destroyer. I really hate the map Erlenberg as well. So getting an Erlenberg match and just going beast mode on it with the AC-48 and just killing all the things was pretty fun. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a great time playing World of Tanks yesterday. I had a lot of really good matches. I had a lot of really fun battles. This 30% bonus credits for the top 3 damage dealers is like the best special event ever, because I am probably in 95 out of 100 games that I play, I'm in the top 3 damage dealers on my team. So basically every tank that I drive, I'm just raking in credits. I bought so many tanks in the last couple of days. It's just been a great time. I've really been enjoying World of Tanks. I'm really getting back into the game. I'm really enjoying it again. I've been doing clan wars with Jaguars again for the last couple of nights. So that can only be good. So, I mean, just give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Feel free to subscribe, definitely, if you want. Just let me know what you think. I love comments on YouTube. Just hit me up. But until next time, guys, this is Captain Dorja with Captain Dorja's Armory. And just remember, you can never have enough big guns.